Major funding for these programs has been provided by grants from Capital One Bank and Perfect Building Maintenance, Murray Hill Properties, SJP Properties, Greenberg Traurig, New York Community Bank, Bank of America. Additional funding for these programs has been provided by grants from Akron Gold Brothers, LLC, C.B. Richard Ellis, City Investment Fund, Cushman & Wakefield, Eastern Consolidated, XL Realty Advisors, LP, Essex Capital Partners, First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Gemini Real Estate Advisors, GVA Williams, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, Helmsley Spear, Herbert J. Sims and Company, Herrick Feinstein, LLP, Jackson Development Group, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Katzimatidis, Kilroy Metal Products, Marcus and Millichap, Massey Knackle Realty Services, M&T Bank, Madison Realty Capital, Meridian Capital Group, Newmark Knight Frank, Muss Development, Palin Enterprises, Rosenthal and Rosenthal, Signature Bank, Sheldrake Organization, Sterling and Sterling, Stephen Napolitano, Stonehenge Partners, Studley, the Moynihan Organization.
Everybody loves hotels. Everybody comes to New York City to be with hotels. Everybody wants to be in the Lower East Side, or they want to go to the fancy Brooklyn, or they want to go into West 39th Street. So where are they going? They're going to the Hotel Kings. And I've assembled the four guys who are really running most of the hotels in New York. My guests, they include Patrick Denahan, co-CEO of Denahan Hospitality, Jason Pomerantz, principal of the Thompson Hotels, Neil Shah, President and CEO of the Herscher Group. And last but not least, Will O'Bide, President and CEO of Gemini Advisors, Gemini Real Estate. Since I spoke about you, what are you doing? I mean, you're the new kid on the block, you know. Denahan's the older man. You know? Okay, so you're the new kid. What's happening to the hotels?
Over the last few years, we've bought a couple of limited service hotels, a Howard Johnson hotel on Houston Street that we've converted into our own flag called the Gem Hotel. We also.
Are you trying to be like the Thompson Group over here?
You know what? I would never pretend to be as she as Jason. I'm not as cool as Jason, but it is the Gem Hotel is about design. It very much follows form, follows function. And we also bought another Howard Johnson hotel on 36th between 9th and 10th Avenue, and we did the same thing. We reflagged it as the Gem Hotel, and we're getting ready to open up another Gem Hotel on 22nd and 8th Avenue through a joint venture with Icon Development Group.
So now, what's the size of a Gem Hotel? Because I have guys here. Jason just opened up a hotel. We'll talk about that.
Sure.
What's a normal size of a Gem Hotel?
Less than 200 keys. Generally, the rooms are about 200 square feet. We are putting an emphasis on the local markets. So each one of the Gem Hotels, be it our Gem Hotel on Houston Street, it has a lot of the flair of the Lower East Side.
Do you give away Yonashim Knishes over there because it's right next door to that?
I think we do have some sort of affiliation with them, Michael.
Yes.
I know they are your favorite. But the Gem Hotel is all about tapping into the local submarket. So we give our guest list of what's going on, what kind of live music.
Do you tell them to go to his hotel?
No.
Okay, because no.
I like Jason, but we don't tell him.
No, here's what I'm saying.
Only when he's oversold he does.
No. Your hotel over there, how many blocks away is your new Allen Street hotel?
Just a few.
And tell us about that hotel. I mean, that just recently opened.
It did recently open.
The Hotel.
We're very excited about it, and it's a 22-story glass tower rising out of the ruins of what used to be the Lower East Side into what I think is the most exciting neighborhood in New York City today. And we do pay homage to Russ and Daughters and to Katz's, and incorporating some of their menu items into our room service menu, actually. Funny that you mention it. But we've sort of created a new hotel where we're incorporating architecture, design, art. We've created a new restaurant concept called Chang, which is opening next month and is, I think, going to reinterpret
So how many
Chinese
rooms
food.
is in that hotel? Because Thompson, there was the first...
143 rooms are in that hotel. So it fits within our model of, between 100 and 200 rooms is generally what we look at. Room size is slightly larger in this particular hotel, where we're averaging about 370 square feet per room.
So you better be charging double what than he's giving.
I hope we are. And every room is, but we really kind of were very innovative on the finishes, and hardwood floors in every room, 3-4-piece bathrooms, glass walls, integrated art into the architecture, a lot of industrial elements, raw concrete. I think we've kind of taken it to a different level of not where the hotel trends are, but where we think that they're going to be ultimately. And I think with the location and the combination of factors we put in there, it's going to become, to a certain extent, I hope, very closely identified with the new gentrification of the Lower East Side, and very symbolic with its coming of age.
And more, where people stay says something about themselves. It's like a logo. It's a lifestyle
We'll get
brand.
to the economy in a second. Don't tell me about that. Okay, the market is only down about 900 points. The election. 165,000 jobs being lost in New York. People may not stay. They may want to go to Brooklyn, or they may want to go somewhere else. What are you doing, Neil? What are you running? I know you're building a new hotel on Lexington, but what are
We are. We've recently just opened our 8th hotel in the New York, in the 5 boroughs. The new hotel in Brooklyn. It's on Smith Street, which is a exciting neighborhood in downtown Brooklyn, kind of the confluence of Cobble Hill and Boerum Hill, and close to Brooklyn Heights and Carroll Gardens. That is one of our 3 independent hotels. Primarily what we do across the country, or at least primarily across the Northeast, is branded hotels, with Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt.
But you have the Duane Street Hotel, right?
But we have the Duane Street Hotel and we have the new hotel. These are our 2 most recent independent hotels. One's in Tribeca, one's in Brooklyn. And what we're trying to position is how we look at deals generally. We look at kind of the local neighborhood that we're looking at site, and then we try to fit what makes sense for that neighborhood and for the kind of site we have. These 2 hotels are both, they're probably classified as 4-star hotels, but we are trying to be a little bit more intimate in terms of less reliance on F&B. There's not a nightclub. There's not a high-energy bar scene at these places. They have nice small wine bars and the like.
He's never invited me to any of the openings anyway. So it makes no difference.
You'll get your official invitation on the show today.
But what we try to do is try to be authentic to our neighborhood. So in Brooklyn, the new hotel has found objects throughout the hotel from different salvage yards and different antique stores throughout Brooklyn. A lot of the art is from Brooklyn artists. On Duane Street in Tribeca, we're trying to help curate our guest stay in a neighborhood as vibrant
and what are you
interesting
planning to do
as
on Lexington Avenue? I mean, you got a great location on Lex.
Lexington Avenue,
not too far from Mr. Denahan's.
Yeah, no, Lexington Avenue, similar kind of product. There we're doing luxury suites, so they're larger guest rooms. But again, we're a bit understated, a bit intimate for our guests, so that we view our competition as the suites at the Waldorf or the suites at the Barclay or suites at some of the other hotels. But we're trying to offer a new construction, all the kind of fit and finish
and
of a
what
luxury.
Type of price do you think that's going to be at?
Well, probably in the 400s.
How far are you from Patrick's Hotel? Where are you? He's on...
We have the Benjamin, which is 1 block away north.
1 block away.
So how would you consider the Benjamin compared to what Neil's talking about?
I'm not clear currently what the product is. I have what I've read about it. I think it's going to be a little bit different than what the Benjamin is. I think it's a different customer. Our customer is predominantly corporate. We have a large leisure part of the Benjamin also that stays with us. So it'll be a different product. price points that you're thinking about going towards is where we are today. Size of the rooms might also be a little bit larger, about 350 to 400 in that range.
And what about the Surrey? I mean, that's...
Surrey is going to be a home run
I mean,
for
the
us.
Surrey it's a fantastic hotel. Tell us what you're doing over there.
Surrey, which is on Madison and 76th Street. It's a complete gut job. We close it down in September. It is being designed with a modern but a contemporary feel to it. We're lucky enough to have Daniel Ballou there, and he's been there for the past 15 years, and with his concept of Cafe Ballou, we're trying to work something out now that we might have a bar together with them in the property, which will really help energize that property itself, taking it from 130 keys to just under 200 keys. And our price points won't be 400 in that market. It's probably going to be a 600.
And what about your other hotels? I mean, because right near the Benjamin, you have the Affinia on 3rd Avenue.
We have altogether in New York City 8 hotels. We have, of which we have 6 Affinias, and the concept there is really designed around comfort with us and customization. Our CRM product that we have, we know everything about who our clients are and what their needs are. And what we do is we deliver it when they get there. They have an ability to go into our website, say exactly what they want in the room, and adjust it, and it's delivered, which we know we've had a lot of the larger brands.
Would you say that your clients are mostly corporate? Your clients are
Leisure,
shishi,
Well,
entertainment?
I think our clients are predominantly somewhat leisure, but they're entertainment, fashion, individual business travelers. And therefore, even though they might be there for work, I don't classify them as corporate because they don't book through corporate rates. They don't book through stuff. It's not really financial industry predominantly. And it's always been that way. It's been the only hotel that we have now that I think is a little bit more geared towards a true corporate customer would be Guild Hall, which we recently opened down on
Now, what is
Gold
Guild
Street.
Hall? I mean, you went down to Lower Manhattan, which, I mean, in different market. What is Guild Hall?
Guild Hall was originally built as a Holiday Inn 7 years ago, and we converted it basically to what I believe is the financial district's first true lifestyle hotel, and did a full gut renovation, and it was meant to update what a interpretation of a classical men's club would be for today's sort of young titan or female power executive, and it really is geared towards the corporate clientele, and I think at a price point.
But what is the price point? I mean, Lower Manhattan, you
Well,
have
it varies.
hotels different.
Obviously Monday through Friday it's one price point, and let's take the current month aside with all the uncertainty that's been going on for the past 2-3 months, but we'd be in the 4s and 5s Monday through Friday, and then there's a drop off on the weekend. And we recently installed a Todd English tavern restaurant there called the Libertine. And what's interesting about it is that hotel has become the neighborhood center for Lower Manhattan. So where you have 4 large rental buildings kind of within walking distance with young professionals or young actors and models sharing apartments, all of a sudden Lower Manhattan has become chic. And you notice, and it's been happening for a while, but you're noticing it because now they have watering halls and lodging establishments that they can actually go to and frequent. So it's 12 minutes away by taxi from anywhere you want to be in New York City, but yet it's become an entity to itself, and it's a very interesting property for us.
But a lot of people like going to your 60 Thompson. I mean, isn't that...
Listen, 60 Thompson's the center of Soho, and if it is to downtown what 57th and 5th is to Midtown, and our rates thankfully are still comparable to probably what the rates in the super high-end hotels are in New York
since
as well.
I was been too positive for the first 12 or 15 minutes, let's get to the reality. What's happening? Are we seeing some fall off? Are we seeing rates dropping? Are we seeing less people coming to the city? I mean, this economy is terrible. This is a recession. I don't want to say anything, but the brethren in Ireland, the people from Europe, are not coming here. I mean, the euro isn't as strong. So what's happening? That was a good portion of everybody sitting here is business. What do you see happening?
We saw a major readjustment happen right with the announcement of Merrill Lynch, AIG. We saw a lot of people just hold back. We saw some people make some cancellations, some readjustments. I think you've heard around the group that October has been a little bit different. I mean, October normally is a month that, in New York City, you make money, and that's a time period that is very different right now. And I look at it back to 9/11. I saw what happened then. It's very similar to that now. As we look into November, the numbers for November are better than what they were in October. It was a shock. I think it really shocked the system, made people afraid, and people didn't travel.
And we had the holidays in October,
Yeah.
which skewed the numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm
not saying we're not in difficult times, Michael. We are. We're in very difficult times. And as long as we try to continue to service our guests and be smart, we can get through the cycle.
But the show is not only Manhattan-centric.
Right.
I mean, with the exception of Neil and Jason on the airport hotels, there was such a preponderance of this hotel. Everybody wanted to build a hotel. And as we said before the show, not some of these people were really inexperienced in the business. So where do you see these hotels like the 7 that were planned for Long Island City, the 11 or 13 that were planned for Brooklyn,
it's easy.
the 2 or 3 that were planned in Harlem?
They're not going to get built. Anything that's not out of the ground right now, by and large, is not going to get built. And if you look at the current supply of hotel rooms, let's just say in Manhattan, it's about 65,000 keys. With everything that was in the pipeline, planned, permits, what have you, it was expected to be 80 or 85,000 keys by 2010. That's way down. Now it's going to end up being about 75,000 keys by 2010.
So in a way, this will be helpful because it'll keep your rooms.
Like, it's the same thing that happened around after 9/11. In 2001, you had about 35 million visitors coming to New York, right? You had about 64,000 keys in the city. Financing shut down. There were no hotels trading. There were no new hotels getting built because financing just wasn't available. What happened? Well, you went from 35 million visitors in Manhattan in 2001 to 47 million visitors in 2007, and your supply did not keep pace, which is why we still have a very strong supply-demand imbalance.
So my question is for the leaders here. How much do you think prices might drop for the
prices of value of hotels?
No, 2 questions. Room prices first. Do you see room prices adjusting maybe down by 5 to 10%?
Well, let's talk RevPAR.
No, explain, please. RevPAR, my audience doesn't understand RevPAR. Room prices. Will room prices drop?
Room prices will likely drop.
Patrick?
I think room prices will drop if the industry at large makes some mistakes.
And what are those type of mistakes?
Just going a little bit scared and dropping. I don't believe that you can generate any new business by dropping rates. All we're doing is stealing from each other. So no one's going to say, I'm going to go to New York City because they dropped their price by 5%. It doesn't happen. All you do is move it around.
Remember you and I had a great conversation. We were talking about people will see these hotel.com commercials, and they think that they're getting a better price. But if they go to your website or contact you directly, they'll get the same price or even better.
They'll get a better price. They will probably get a better price because the numbers that they get and the flow through that goes back to those different companies, there's about a 20 or 25% profit margin there.
So Neil, where do you see? I mean, you recently, I was reading in one of the publications, your company just got some capital, which is great. So in this tough time, it's difficult. What do you see?
Congratulations on that too.
Thank you. Thank you. We look at this as an interesting opportunity. I think maybe in some ways, I think across the real estate world, and I think New York's still a little bit unique in that, but across the real estate world, I think we're seeing an opportunity that's once in a generation kind of life opportunity. In New York, I don't think values are going to drop as significantly as they are elsewhere. So So I wouldn't say it's a once in a one or two generation opportunity, but it's going to be a pretty attractive opportunity to acquire hotels.
I think for you, it's going to be because you have this war chest of money. I think the problem, for all the three of you, the other people here who have established track records and can go out there, but as we were talking, the other day, Will and I, there are a few banks who are still out there. The German banks who were there aren't there. I mean, Wells Fargo might be there for certain deals for you, or some other ones, but there's the Pacific National that we spoke about. All of the German banks, HSH Nord, Hypo, they're out of business over here.
But they will come back. I think for the group that's here, I still think that there will be more opportunities net than pain for owner-operator groups. You operate your own hotels, you own your own hotels, you don't use too high of leverage, and you know what you're doing. And
but I think what you're saying also is the amount of leverage. I mean,
sure.
even Jason, on some of the hotels, I don't know, but you had more leverage when you started the construction of the Allen Street Hotel than you would have today.
Absolutely. It would be much more difficult to do some of our recent deals that we own and operate today because we were getting north of 80% leverage on many deals, whereas today, even with banks that are willing to lend, we'd probably get 60-65% leverage. And doing an $80 million deal, that changes the returns on investment significantly. And so the calculation of what you're getting into is different, which is what leads to ultimately being more prudent in what you're taking in because your returns are different. So price drops and kind of cherry picking your situations becomes ever more important. And I think what you're talking about regarding owner operators is a very important point. And I think in our industry, one of the reasons why people are going to be in trouble on the development side, forget about on existing hotels over the next 18 months, is because people who were not in the profession, and even if they were remotely related to real estate, but they're not necessarily hotel developers or operators, were investing in deals with very bad fundamentals and really with unrealistic expectations. And I think the banks that ended up lending to those guys are the same ones that you just mentioned are out of business. And the unfortunate part is that the hotel business is inherently different than the real estate business as a whole. It is an ongoing business, and it is one that is a particular profession.
Every day the window closes.
We start from zero every day.
Every day,
20-year leases.
That's exactly right.
And that's what people tend to forget. And if the banks going forward will remember that on their distressed deals that they have now, and in future lending, we won't be in this situation again.
Yeah, I mean, we just closed on a hotel, Wyndham Garden, on 24th between 6th and Broadway, 60% leverage. We pumped 40% of equity into the deal. A year and a half ago, I would have thought that we would have gotten 85, maybe 90% leverage. So it's a completely different world. It's a completely different world.
Well, I'll just pick up on what Neil said. I mean, we're looking at great opportunities going forward. We're looking in the year of 09 and 10, and just what Will mentioned earlier, the number of deals that are in the pipeline, the number of people that bought property that I feel terrible, don't want to take advantage of people, paid way too much money, and some are in the ground now, some that are in the ground now may not get done, may not get completed, so there is opportunity. I hate to say that, but we're in a good position in our company to be able to put some equity into it. Some of them has financing there, but they can't complete the deal. So there are opportunities that are there, Michael. I mean, will it be difficult in 09? Yes. Now, will it be difficult in 10? Probably will be difficult.
If you had a boatload of money, all of you, where would be the place that you'd want to build a hotel today? If capital wasn't a problem. I mean, in New York City.
Prime sites, on the avenue, around Central Park, Midtown.
No, if
is
there was
strong.
land, okay? I'm talking if there's land available. I mean, because we were talking just before about a number of people who have decided that everybody loves the High Line. I mean, it was like everyone wanted the meat market. Okay? How many hotels can the High Line really support is the question.
Yeah.
I mean, how many hotels can we have in the convention center?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Well,
Javits
you know what,
Center,
I'll tell you
nothing's
something
happening.
interesting, which and why for our company I disagree with the theory on the location. If you look at downtown Manhattan below, let's say 23rd Street, there are X amount of rooms. If you take that between 23rd and 57th Street, you're in a sea of rooms.
Yep.
Now, downtown New York is a destination within itself, and whether you segment it to the Lower East Side, Soho, Chelsea, however you want to do it, the supply is absolutely nowhere near the demand. So if they're, say, I've heard figures that there's probably demand for 10 times the amount of rooms below 23rd or 14th Street than exists today.
Look at the pipeline. That's where they all are, though. There's a ton.
Yes.
There's a ton down there.
But they're further west.
But they're further
adjacent
west.
to-
What
yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
is not so much where
Right.
you are. I'm saying the traditional Soho, Tribeca, Lower East Side locations. You know, even Meatpacking
Right.
District to a degree.
Right.
I mean, if you add another 150-room hotel, or two, or three, it's not going to affect that marketplace as a whole. Whereas
I'm
in
not
Midtown,
certain.
you get into those.
I mean, what's
I agree
happening?
with you.
What's happening with the
100%.
W in the financial center? I mean, Francis Greenberg was on my show a couple of weeks ago. You know, he's planning a hotel in West Street because he owns the property. He said, "I'm not building. I can't. I don't have money. I don't know what's going to happen." Larry Silverstein was on the show. He said, "Larry, what's happening?" He said, "I don't know either." So these were these large, major hotels, you know, like those 4 or 5-star
Those were
hotels.
Four Seasons.
Yeah, the
was-
Four Seasons. You know, this is.
But these are huge hotels, and I think if you listen to what we're all saying here, it seems like it's around 200 keys or less. It's in neighborhoods that are starving for a good product. You know, to Jason's point, we're developing a gem hotel on 13th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue in the heart of Greenwich Village. There's nothing there. We're going to capture the NYU market. We're going to capture the new school market.
And it's effectively the only hotel in Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
When he told me that, I was angry. I wanted that hotel. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised Neil didn't get it because he knew the guy who had the property.
He might sell it to you.
Please, sometimes you know, we do a little trading on the show. So what I hear is, as opposed to the general investment environment that I'm seeing, the hotel industry, because of the lack of rooms and because of what's happening, should relatively continue to be okay for the next year.
I think occupancy will not be an issue. I think the rate will be an issue.
Agreed.
And
I
I think
agree
it'll
with
be
that.
driven by ownership of hotels. That's what's going to happen. And unless
And the weak will not survive.
they're not going to survive.
The weak, inexperienced person who said, "I should be a hotel operator," will be going back to their other business.
We'd
or,
love to try to help them, Michael.
Oh, I realize you'd love to try to help.
But seriously, help them. Just to, you know, there's ways that we can.
So I'd like to say, I think my audience really got a great view of what's happening in the hotel industry, in the hospitality industry. I'd like to thank Patrick Denahan, Jason Pomerantz, Neil Shah, and last but not least, Will Abide. The week after, we have an interesting show. We're going to talk about what's happening in the city of New York because of development, because of the credit crisis and the loss of these tax abatements. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Major funding for these programs has been provided by grants from Capital One Bank and Perfect Building Maintenance, Murray Hill Properties, SJP Properties, Greenberg Traurig, New York Community Bank, Bank of America. Additional funding for these programs has been provided by grants from Akron Gold Brothers, LLC, C.B. Richard Ellis, City Investment Fund, Cushman & Wakefield, Eastern Consolidated, XL Realty Advisors, LP, Essex Capital Partners, First American Title Insurance Company of New York, Gemini Real Estate Advisors, GVA Williams, Hal Fettner, Durst Fettner Residential, Helmsley Spear, Herbert J. Sims and Company, Herrick Feinstein LLP, Jackson Development Group, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Katzimatidis, Kilroy Metal Products, Marcus and Millichap, Massey Knackle Realty Services, M&T Bank, Madison Realty Capital, Meridian Capital Group, Newmark Knight Frank, Muss Development, Palin Enterprises, Rosenthal and Rosenthal, Signature Bank, Sheldrake Organization, Sterling and Sterling, Stephen Napolitano, Stonehenge Partners, Studley, the Moynihan Organization.